Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video series, Lost the Plot, I'm going to talk about the nuances that I think us as runners should be considering, whether it comes to things like the latest trends, where people are, at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to spending our hard-earned money, whether it's topics related to the shoes that we wear, the gear that we wear, or even things like supplements, right? Because even things like the electrolytes, I think that's something that is heavily over-marketed. And I'm not even gonna talk about that in this video, but I'll just put it simple to you like this when it comes to something like electrolytes. If you need more salt in your diet after a run, salt your food. It costs next to nothing, and it doesn't matter how quickly you get those salts back into your body. But that's a topic I'll dive into in a later video. Today I wanted to talk about something that I think has been really apparent to me, especially as I've been training and changing my rotation over time. And that's really talking about max cushion shoes and everyone over indexing on, oh, if it's under 40 millimeters or 42 millimeters of foam, then I'm not even gonna consider it. And that's coming from someone like myself who, that was my mentality up until, honestly, a couple of months ago. And the reason why I think it's so important to take that into consideration is, why are we all over indexing on max cushion shoes? And the first thing and the first point I'll take when we're thinking about how we're losing the plot here is that if everything is max cushion or max stack, then nothing is, because at the end of the day, that just becomes the norm. And do we really want that to become the norm? Because again, when we're thinking of shoes, and I always say this in my videos, shoes are tools for the job. And I can understand, as someone like myself who was a much bigger runner than I am currently. I'm sitting currently around 190 pounds. When I got back into running after bodybuilding a few years ago, I started running again when I was about 215 pounds. And at the time I was like, oh great, there's this whole max cushion category. Let me wear max cushion shoes because that'll protect my joints. And certainly, I think that it helped. It gave me some confidence to get back into running, but that by no means, in looking back in hindsight, was actually what enabled it. Case in point, one of the best shoes that I remember running in during that time period, in that initial weight loss, was actually the New Balance, the 860, I believe it was the V14. It was the one right before the current model. And it was just, in hindsight, I'm pretty sure it was around a 38 millimeter stack shoe, and I love that shoe. I could run 5 miles no problem in that shoe. So again, if everything is max stack though, you're now losing some strength in your muscles. And I do have my super note here just to keep track of everything. And that's something that, yeah, so making sure I'm not missing anything here. And that's something that is really important to keep in mind though, right? Is like, we want to keep our feet and our ankles strong. And that's going into the next thing I want to talk about, which is, don't be afraid of feeling the road. And what do I mean by that? I feel like a lot of the times, and this is something I caught myself doing, is that, oh, if the shoe was lower stack, then I don't want to feel the road, because if I can feel the road, then that must mean that it's not protecting me, or there's not the same level of impact protection. And while there is some truth to that, that doesn't mean that your body isn't going to adapt over time and actually get stronger. And that will actually correlate to you reaping better benefits and longevity over the long haul. So what do I mean by that, right? So for example, I have really bad post-tib pain in my ankles. And what I found, and originally when I was getting ankle soreness, I thought to myself, I needed a shoe like the Vomero Plus, right? I need a shoe that's gonna protect my ankles. I need to be as high off the ground as possible with as much foam as possible, because that's gonna protect my ankles from impact absorption. And over time, and listening to great YouTubers like Doctors of Running, I realized there's a lot more that goes into what causes an injury than necessarily just the shoe itself. And that's why at the end of the day, shoes are just tools. So don't be afraid of feeling the road because, and the first shoe that really made me consider this a bit more was this shoe right here, the X-Step 2000 Kilometer 5 Pro. This shoe is definitely, I mean, you can also tell just visually, it is definitely lower stack than the Nike Vomero Plus, and I can feel the road in this shoe, but not in a bad way. It's good to feel your muscles working. It's good to feel that your body is capable. Everyone, you know, I always think to myself nowadays like, oh, like runners like to pretend like they're hard, but they need to wear the softest and most cushioned shoes when they're running. Like, come on, let's be serious, guys. What are we doing here? This shoe, it's firmer, definitely lower stack, and I just like the feel that I get out of it, right? And so again, I think there's a lot of value. It shouldn't just be if it's under 40 millimeters, I'm not interested. I think there's a lot of value, and even just having it in the rotation, right? Not necessarily something you run in every day. Myself, for example, the first few weeks I had it, I only ran in it once or twice, but now I actually look to reach for this shoe maybe even 3 to 4 times a week now, just because I actually enjoy that feel. I enjoy feeling the running. I enjoy feeling like I am working a little bit. And do I miss the bounce sometimes? Yeah, but if I want that, I can just go put on one of my max stack shoes. But there's a lot of value to still be had for these more traditional daily trainer stack height shoes. And with that being said, let's actually dive into some of the benefits I've actually noticed. So going back to one of my original concerns when I got back into running as a heavier runner is, oh, I needed to protect my knees and my ankles. And what I actually have found is that using these shoes over time has actually given me much greater strength and mobility in my ankles and in my knees. That was one of the most shocking things that I realized, and it became very apparent for me actually when I intentionally went a week. I was either wearing this shoe or the Red Hair 9 Pro or even the Leaning Challenger 5. So that, I know this one's 36, I believe this one's around 38, and this one is also around the 39 mark. This might be the highest stack actually. But the one thing I found is that after that week and I went and put on my Saucony Hurricanes, I was like, wow, these things feel like a boat on my feet. I then became much more aware of how my joints, tendons, and muscles weren't working as effectively in the max stack shoes. And so I think there's a lot of value to be had in that, right? Like, again, at the end of the day, we as runners are the ones putting in the work, right? And I'm not saying like if you use a max stack shoe, you're not working, but I think it's important to also make sure that you're working your muscles properly, because again, having that proprioception, the awareness of where your feet are as you're moving through space and time is incredibly important. And I think having lower stack shoes and just incorporating that in the mix is something that everyone should be taking into consideration. And that leads to my final point, and that's, okay, so have I sold you on this idea yet? If not, let me know down below. I mean, again, I was max cushion only for the last 2 years, and I've just come around this month, but I feel like it was a really good one to talk about here. And the last thing I'll say is like incorporating a lower stack shoe. Again, when we're saying lower stack, I'm not talking about going down to whatever like the Streak Fly stack height is or the Asics Metasleek. Again, it's just a little bit lower just to again, strengthen and work your muscles a bit, right? I would definitely say, just try it out. Just pick up one pair and then just use it for one run a week and then see how you feel. Because another thing that I noticed is that my cadence, which I am actually, as I've learned over time, I'm more of a cadence runner. These lower stack shoes work much better for me because of the way that I run and the way I pick up speed, which is picking up my cadence. I've noticed it's about a 5 steps per minute difference between when I run at the same pace with a lower stack shoe versus my max stack shoes. But yeah, I think that's one of the most valuable things that everyone should be considering here. Not necessarily always focusing on what's the stack height. Oh, it's not a 44, it's not a 45 millimeter in the heel? No thanks, not interested. There's a lot of value in using a true, proper, traditional daily trainer. Now, we can talk about the nuances, and another one I want to talk about in the future is going to be around everyone over-indexing on the foam material, but I'll save that for another discussion. When it comes to the rotation itself though, just try it out. Just like throw it in for once a week and then see how you feel. Maybe, and don't get me wrong, you might not like it at first, but that's okay because it's just like the first time you step into the gym, right? You're gonna be a little bit sore because you're using muscles that your body's not used to, so it's gonna create a little bit of soreness, but that soreness can be a benefit. And one of the things that my coaches always told me in college was, is it pain or is it discomfort? If it's pain, we need to stop. If it's discomfort, that's something we can work through. And I think the same thing should be applied here. Is it pain that you're actually experiencing by using a slightly lower stack foam? Or is it actually just a little discomfort because your body needs to get used to it, but your body will be better for that over time as well? And again, I just see it as a progression model, right? So now I'm probably looking to run in a lower stack shoe at least 2 times a week, if not 3 times. But with that being said, guys, let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think it really matters or not whether someone is focusing on the stack height of shoes? Do you think max stack is really the future? Again, like I said before, if everything is max stack, then that means nothing, as that just becomes the norm. And whatever you normalize to will actually dictate a lot of how your body moves and responds over time, which I think is something important to consider as well. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you didn't, feel free to yell at me down below on why I'm wrong on this subject. But with that being said, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.